When you think of putting the West Coast on the hip hop map, the next guest is part of that conversation. For 30 years, the legendary artist has continued to release music, has acted, and has collaborated with such artists as Spice One, Premier, Quik, and many more. He's MC Eiht, and I want to welcome to allhiphop.com presents the live with Tim Heineke. Eiht, thank you so much for being here. It's always an honor.
It's all good, Tim. What's the word, fam?
So I want to start from the beginning. How does one go from gangbanging, selling drugs in the 80s to pursuing a hip hop as an art form, releasing a single on Compton's Most Wanted, releasing a single, being part of Compton's Most Wanted, especially at a time when, hip hop, who knew what was the future of hip hop music, right? Like, who knew if that would be financially viable?
Right. Well, basically, I was a typical teen, living in Compton, growing up in the hood, whatever. I got bit by the rap bug early. Taking summer vacations down to Gulfport, Mississippi. I had an older cousin who was inclined to the hip hop scene. He had grew up on a gang of New York hip hop. So that's what got me into it, man. I was just a fan of hip hop and venturing down there for vacations, being able to adapt to New York rap, man. It just always had me intrigued. So I basically came home one summer and I just started writing raps about the neighborhood. Basically, we was out there doing our thing, selling drugs, gang banging. And basically I started taking that and started putting it into mix form. I had a homeboy who had a studio in his garage with 2 turntables and a mixer. He had a microphone. So me and one of my homeboys from the hood, we used to just go over there and just make up tapes, mixtapes about raps about the neighborhood, who got jacked last night, who got shot, what the police did, whatever. And from there, being able to listen to more hip hop and listen to dudes like Kumo D and Rakim and EPMD and listening to brothers like Toddy T and Mixmaster Spade, it basically put me on the pathway that I wanted to start rap music. So that's how I got out of the transition from selling drugs and whatever. But it still took a little time because my first 3 projects, I was still in the neighborhood gang banging and selling drugs because that's what I knew.
Oh, at this time, what was the significance for not just you, but also taking me to like West Coast or California of MC Ren and NWA at the time? I mean, what did they mean to you while you were writing your rhymes, and more importantly, what did they mean to West Coast hip hop at the time?
Well, basically, it was NWA gave us the sense. To me, it gave us the sense of hip hop in our form. Like I said, I grew up on a lot of New York rap. I was real heavy into New York rap, but when Ren and Easy and them came out, it kind of put into perspective what we were going through as far as West Coast artists. Our journey was different than other hip hop artists. So having somebody like Ren and Easy and Cube and them solidify what we were going through as far as the police harassment, the poverty, growing up gang banging, cripping in blood and selling drugs, it kind of put us into the forefront where I felt like we had an opportunity, or I had an opportunity to really get serious in the rap game, because there were artists before me who were setting the foundation for what West Coast music was.
Did you guys, I mean, at this time, were you guys looking at East Coast hip hop? I mean, did you care what was happening? And not care, not being dismissive, but care in a way that whatever they were doing, what were you trying to emulate them at all? Or was it just really focused on the West Coast?
I loved East Coast rap. Like I said, my first recollection of hip hop was East Coast. EPMD, Kumo D, LL Cool J, UTFO, Sparky D, Roxanne Shante. So I always looked at East Coast rap as the foundation for hip hop. We just took different patterns as far as West Coast artists concerned. But I loved East Coast rap because to me it was different from what we were doing. Our perpetration of hip hop was, we got gangs, we got drug selling, we got Daryl Gates and the police and police harassment. And as far as East Coast, I looked at as East Coast as just pure love of hip hop. You know, you didn't have to get into that when you listen to dudes like LL or EPMD or Rakim or Big Daddy Kane, Biz Markie. It was just hip hop. So I admired that from what they did because it gave me a different aspect of being an artist, just not a West Coast MC. You feel me?
Right. You mentioned East Coast. You mentioned solo artists, but you started out. You started out obviously the legendary group Compton's Most Wanted, and you dropped this. You dropped the debut album. It's got Compton thing in 1990, so that's very prior to your debut album. What was your plan in terms of dropping as a group over a solo artist? I mean, why the group artist first and then go into solo?
Well, honestly, I started as Compton's Most Wanted. I never looked at myself as a solo artist. I came in as Compton's Most Wanted to try to keep hold that tradition of groups. You feel me? NWA, EPMD, Gang Starr, Public Enemy. I just felt that the significance of the group was first place to me. I didn't look at me having a solo career. I didn't do that because I had homeboys who was with me, the Chill, DJ Slip, Mike T, so I didn't want to take the solo record role. That only came presented to me after I did Menace to Society. And nigga the Chill had a couple of run-ins and had to go sit down for a minute, do a couple of stints in jail or whatever. So from that, Sony decided that they would break me off from CMW and make me become a solo artist. So that was done by Sony and Epic. To me, I still was Compton's Most Wanted.
I want to. You mentioned, the influence I think East Coast hip hop have had on you, and you look at CMW's debut album. It's a Compton thing, and the track "I Give Up Nothing," and it's you listen to it and you're like, wow, that sounds very much like a Big Daddy Kane, Rakim, Mo D type flow on it. And it's interesting to listen to that in conjunction with the entire album because it really stands out as a track. That's not very quote unquote West Coast track. Why for that moment, did you try to change up your flow to kind of sound more East Coast, I guess, in a way? And what was the reaction amongst fellow hip hop artists or Cali hip hop artists at the time?
The reaction from that was that Eiht is more than just a West Coast artist. I prided myself on being an artist first and not just depicting West Coast shit. So doing I Give Up Nothing was one of those tracks that I wanted to bust on because I wanted people to know that I was more than just a West Coast rapper talking about, the color lines and the gangs and the drugs from what people known for. I wanted to show people that I was an artist first. So thus I did songs like I Give Up Nothing to show that on top of being a first artist, a pioneer from the West Coast, that I was a true artist and that New York rap had a large influence on me, like I said. So that was my just paying homage to being a true MC. You feel me?
Mm-hmm. You talk about being a true artist, and obviously, prior to dropping Death Threats, you made your movie screen debut in A Menace to Society as the character AWACS. How did this come to be? I mean, when someone approached you, hey, we want you to act in this movie, what was your immediate reaction? And then looking at the script, did you change anything about the character or maybe change any part of the writing that maybe you didn't feel was true to itself?
When I got asked to do the part for Menace, I really didn't focus or think about it because to me, I wasn't that large as an artist at the time, but because of what was going on in the music industry, as far as with incorporating rap artists into the movies. I mean, we had Tupac with Juice and Poetic Justice, and then Cube did Boys in the Hood. We had the South Central movie, whatever. So I really just looked at it as they trying to find artists to fit the mold. But Ren was offered the part, so I didn't really think I was going to get it because compared to Ren, Ren, NWA,
right.
MC Eiht, Compton's Most Wanted, rent status was a little bit higher than we was. So I just automatically felt like I was just there to be, so they could say they brought somebody else in to try out. I went in, I read for it. The Hughes brothers was cool. They was fans of my music. They knew my videos and some of my projects. So from there, they called me in once. I read. They called me back in like 2 weeks later. I read again. And then I think I went on tour and they hit me up and said that I had to part. I really didn't think nothing of it because I thought it was just going to be a small role, no speaking parts or just whatever. And it came out to be prominent. It helped my career significantly. It got me to a different level as far as hip hop community is concerned. On a worldwide status, I was able to travel the world because of Menace and meet different people and hook up with a lot of different people. So it was significant to my career.
You mentioned, as someone who's from New York City, and at that time when we obviously don't have the internet, we have cassette tapes or whatnot. A lot of us looked at the West Coast and we look at hip hop as a way of kind of telling what's news of the street or what's happening in that location. And you mentioned talking about I Gave Up Nothing, that you wanted to show that you were more than just someone talking about this. You were also an artist as well. Who was that mentor that kind of, I guess, instilled it in you that okay, you rap, but at the same time you're more than just a rapper, you're more than just an MC? Who is that one person or maybe a couple of people that said, hey, you're an artist, be an artist?
I attribute a lot of that to DJ Slip. DJ Slip worked with me early on in my career. When I was just a young knucklehead, running the neighborhoods, DJ Slip worked with me extensively. Always had confidence in my lyrics. Never felt like I had to change up my style or something. So I can attribute half of that to DJ Slip, who at the time was an up and coming producer. He was well known on the West Coast. So taking the time out and believing in the kid, who was just getting in the rap game, he gave me the confidence to, really try to pin stuff. And my mom, my mom's always taught me that if I want to do something, go do it. She never doubted me with music. She just said if I was going to do it, then I needed to do it to the full extent. So that's always, I always tried to have lyrics that were just not, I tried to write and concentrate on shit that was real and not just say anything as far as hip hop concerned. So them were the two as big influences as far as when I started rapping and gave me the confidence to pursue.
I want to ask you about, of course, the DJ Quik feud, and I really, what's interesting, what's great about it is that it ended, right? You guys, squashed it. Can you kind of take us back quickly to why did it start? And when I was trying to read on it, somehow Tim Dog was involved in it, but I wasn't exactly sure if that was a true story, or if Tim Dog was actually involved in it.
I've never heard Tim Dog wasn't involved in the DJ Quik thing. It was just two upcoming dudes coming from Compton. I think I was working on my second album. Quik was up and coming. As everybody know, we're from different sides of the streets. Quik was a Blood. I was a Crip. So that had a lot of influence on our beef because of the neighborhood participation. And that's just how it was in Compton. We were all gang banging. We all claimed different sets. So when you got Crips and Bloods beefing, usually in the streets, that's drive-bys and killings. On record, it happened to be I was an artist, he was an artist, and the way for him to, I guess, signify his affiliation and his artistry that's coming up is you got to diss the Crips. You feel me? And that's what it was. Now I don't know if it was mistaken because I said I was working on my second album and it had just dropped. He was working on demos. My DJ was a Blood, Mike T. Mike T got a hold to one of his demo tapes. And we heard the songs or whatever. So that's just how the beef started. Him rapping, me rapping, trying to prove his loyalty to his neighborhood and to who his affiliation. I was an artist that was already out. Everybody had knew my affiliation. So that's basically what it was attributed to. I don't think we had any real hip hop beef, but because of where we came from and what we represented, it was basically just, it was what it was. I mean, y'all beef as far as the streets go. So when you get into this hip hop community, people don't understand that some of these things don't, you can't live them down. And
Right.
that was one of the insecurities of that we had as fucking artists coming into the game, being youngsters, being manipulated by homies from the set. This nigga talking about you, he talking about you, and that's how a lot of it got started. I had a song on my record called Death Wish. I had said something about biting me quick. I guess they took it as a diss, but I never knew who Quik was at the time. But like I said, influences can take you to a different level, and we were influences by surroundings. You get me? Our
Yeah.
surroundings made the beef go, and a couple of people got hurt and injured. And as grown men, we just felt like, we hip hop artists, we're trying to represent the city of Compton, show everybody that the city of Compton is a true place for hip hop and superstars and what have you. So we just decided to squash the beef.
Yeah. It feels like it's a you just think about that beef and you just think about it. It feels like it's a I guess a dangerous line being towed at the same, but like you're beefing as artists, but then you're also beefing as, I guess, rival gang members. And you and Quik and yourself know exactly how far you could take it or want to take it, but there is those outside influences that could take it to a whole another level that
Is
you
with
have no control.
and that's basically what happened. I mean, I can control me, he can control him, but we can't control the outside influences. And when you deal with gang banging in neighborhoods, each person feels a disrespect in a certain way, especially when it comes to the neighborhood. So something that I might be able to overlook, I might have a homeboy around the corner on the other block. He might not be able to overlook that. And he feels personal about that because it's being talked about and the neighborhood is being talked about. So sometimes guys take those problems into their own hands. And that's where we didn't want it to go, because a lot of outside victims were being caught up in this. So it was better for us to squash the beef than have anybody else lose their life or get jumped or get injured behind us on some hip hop shit. You feel me?
Mm. Obviously, when Tim Dog dropped "Fuck Compton," us in the East Coast were obviously losing our minds, right? Cool Keith has talked about how Tim did that as a kind of a gimmick type thing. Uh, what did you guys initially think when he dropped it? Did you care? At the
I
time.
mean, we cared. We cared because of the fact that, not as far as Tim Dog was concerned, but we took pride in the city of Compton. And even though it was directed at Easy and whatever and NWA, a lot of artists who were from Compton were affected by that. Thus, we did a song called "Who's Fucking Who" on Music to Drive By record. We just felt like it was something. It was a gimmick. We knew it was a gimmick, but to come out like that and disrespect what we had tried to establish as far as hip hop artists, because we already knew that the East Coast originated, and we just felt like our rendition of hip hop coming where we come from, we didn't want to feel disrespected or people looking at us as a different light as far as hip hop concerned, because we talked about the gang problems or the poverty or living in the neighborhood or whatever. So we took it kind of personal, not from Tim Dog, but for the aspect, but that's what was brought to the table from him, to say fuck Compton in a whole. So we as artists, Compton's Most Wanted, felt that we had to contribute to that.
I was listening to an interview with Cool Keith, and he says he feels that a lot of California artists still feel the impact of that track, or still take it personal. I mean, do you think it's just so far removed that it doesn't? No one really
It
gives two
doesn't
shits
bother
about it.
me anymore. I mean, it's hip hop. I mean, shit. We've had a lot of our artists diss and do that type of shit that establishes their foundation. So I look at it as love and war, man. You feel me? You
Hmm.
got to be able to take the punches when you deliver them. And when you in this game, you subject to that. You open yourself up to the world, to people, and people don't judge you. Some motherfuckers ain't gonna like you. Some people ain't gonna like what you about, what point you stand for. But that's just the nature of the beast with this hip hop shit. So, but now I don't look at it as any significance to me. I don't know about any other artists. I don't speak for them, but as far as MC Eiht Compton's Most Wanted concerned, that shit is dead in the water.
Nice. I mentioned that you and Quick obviously squashed this beef, and then you created this great record, Rosecrans, on the Rosecrans project. How did that come together? And did you guys work together prior to it? Did you record any music that maybe wasn't released at the time?
Uh, Prior to me and Quick squashing the beef, he was working on a few projects. He invited me to the studio when Rest in Peace Mossberg was still alive. I think I went to the studio and I worked on a song or two with Mossberg, DJ Quick produced. Unfortunately, Mossberg passed and we didn't get to feel the full weight of his artistry, which was unfortunate. Like another brother lost his life from the neighborhood because of his affiliation. But that came about because of Problem. Problem is a new artist that, is really on the rise, really making a lot of noise from the hub city or whatever. And him and Quick had done a lot of stuff together. And me and Problem had hooked up and talked and, talked about working with each other. I knew some of his mutual people. He knew some of mine. So he called me up in the studio one day and said, "Hey, man, can you slide through the studio? I'm working on a project and I'm trying to get Quick on it as well." So I ended up going to the studio. Me and Quick was there chilling and they threw on the beats for me. I think they played me 2 beats and I instantly started writing and got on the songs with no hesitation. And that's just what it takes, though. It takes some of us to be grown up and come out of these beefs and this bullshit and to be able to work with each other and establish this real shit that's going to continue. And like I said, anything for the city of Compton and keep on bigging up the city of Compton and keep representing, I'm all for it. So that's how the Rosecrans project came about. Shout out to my nigga Problem. He hooked that up.
When you think of like all-star MCs, you have to say Tupac, Ice-T, Spice One, and yourself, and then you see that you guys were on a track together. How did that, how does that track come together in 1993? I mean, where were you all in your career at the time, and can you kind of speak on the long-term importance of a track like this?
I knew South Central Cartel. I'd been knowing them from riding around, from being in this LA. Local niggas I knew from LA getting into the rap game. I had done shows with Pac. I grew up listening to Ice-T and all those cats. So the unity, it shows unity. South Central Cartel brought everybody together. They said was putting together this track. Anytime somebody comes to me and says, we got a gang of people we putting on the track, we would love for you to give. I just try to put my contribution, even before it's money involved or publishing or whatever. When you say that you're trying to put together projects like that shows the unity in hip hop, especially from cats that people don't think would affiliate together, I'm all for it. Like I said, I try to fuck with a lot of artists who are on that point, and I think it's good for hip hop to be able to collaborate with some of the people you grew up on and some of the people that you respect. And that's what I look at. I'm a fan first. So that's what I do. Anytime I love a nigga songs, I love Tupac. I loved it Ice-T. You know what I'm saying? South Central Cartel. So it was a no-brainer. If you come to me and it's a decent project and I feel the love from other artists, then I feel it significantly helps hip hop to show the unity within artists.
You mentioned Spice One and collaborating with him in '93, but then you go to fast forward to 2004 and you collaborate with him on The Pioneers. In 2006, you release with him Keep It Gangster. When did the conversation with him begin about releasing these projects? I mean, did you kind of know?
We've always talked about working together. Me and Spice from back in the days, from when I started shooting Menace, and he had a song on the soundtrack, and we connected from there. Jive had put out the soundtrack. Spice was signed to Jive. I knew a couple of executives there, so they brought us in to work on Spice's album, me and DJ Slip, which we produced the Murder Show. We mixed a couple of songs, whatever. So we had established a relationship. Spice is, like I said, one of those dudes that I met in this hip hop industry and I formed a real friendship with. So when they came to me and asked, somebody said y'all should do a project together. And when people bring those things up, I really kind of look at them as oversights because I'd be like, yeah, I'm busy, he busy, whatever the case may be. But I think just being able to work with each other over the years and having that friendship, we were able to put that project together. And then we ended up doing 2 projects together. So once again, like I said, I established certain relationships with artists in this game that I feel is more than just the artist shit and the music shit. And that's the way I'm able to deal and work with other people because I have the respect as a fan first and a true artist. So me and Spice, like I said, we talk probably every other day, man. That's
awesome.
what this hip hop thing has done for me. It has established relationships that I'm able to keep in tune with dudes over the years.
I think what's great when you look at your career, you're not just collaborating with the old school artists, you also collaborate with new artists as well. And reading up on you, it's when I think of MC Eiht, and respectfully, I don't think of any collaboration with Bruno Mars happening, but you guys did this remix together for your track, Straight Up Menace. What was that conversation with Bruno or whoever contacted you about doing this this remix together?
Like I said, people holler at me, and out of respect for, I guess, what I've done over the years, you get certain people who want to connect and do shit. So when people reach out and say they want to get down on projects or they want to remake songs or whatever, I'm always down for it, man, whether I'm on it or not. I mean, because it just keeps the feeling of hip hop alive. And it just lets me know I'm respected as an artist, that people want to fuck with music that I've done or touched or whatever. So it's like a pride sense of knowing that you get respected from other artists who are significant. That's always been good with me, to always be significant with other artists who are on that level on the other side too. When you cross over to the other side, for people to be able to come back and respect what you have done, it's always appreciative,
Mm-hmm. In 2012, you linked up with Kendrick Lamar on the record Mad City off his sophomore album, Good Kid, Mad City. When did you first hear Kendrick spit? I mean, what as an MC, what stood out to you? And then also as an artist, what stood out to you?
I had heard a lot of Kendrick stuff from his Section 80 record. I knew he was an up and coming artist, representing Compton. So like I said, if anybody comes from Compton and they're really trying to put in that music and they're really trying to put in that work to keep the forefront of Compton going, they reached out to me. He knew some of my family. So he reached out to me personally and said that he wanted me on a record. Knowing who he was dealing with Dre and Top Dog and all of them, I just felt like I had to contribute, especially with it being like Dre and them not wanting certain people fucking with their artists or trying to keep their level clean. I looked at it as mad respect because Kendrick could have went to anybody to get on the project. You feel me? And especially with the ties they had, they could have reached out to anybody. But for them to be able to come to me and want me to get down on his first project, it just showed like I said, the respect they had for somebody who represented the city for as long as I've had. I've always been about Compton. I've always been about artists who represent Compton in the whole. I don't give a fuck what side you from, Crip blood, Mexican, Asian, it don't matter. If you're a real true hip hop artist and you're here to try to keep this legacy of Compton hip hop going, then I'm all for it. So I respected the fact that they came to me, and I was chosen to be on the record because, like I said, it was a real armored gate to get on that Kendrick record as far as Drake was concerned. Because as you know, it was only 3 people on his first record: me, Drake, and Mary J. Blige. So I looked at that as an honor. You feel me?
Yeah. I want to turn about producers you've worked with. You recently dropped Lessons, and on High Cho, you have Kanye the Machine, but it also have DJ Premier. Who was that first artist for you that kind of made you step up maybe your writing game or your lyrical game? That you had the first artist you had a studio session where that you're like, okay, this is what I'm going to do, or this is how I'm going to step up.
I wouldn't necessarily say it was a studio session. I used to respect dudes. Rakim, Scarface, Ice Cube, um, even Kendrick, even dudes like that, always make me want to step up my penmanship. Uh, I pride myself on writing lyrics. I mean, I just don't want to give you a song that's just music, and you ain't speaking about nothing. That was one of my main focuses when I came up and started rapping, is that you had to have lyrics because we had artists who could just blow you out the water as far as lyrics was concerned. So cats like cats like Cube, cats like Rakim, cats like Scarface, they would make me want to go back to the drawing board. If I wrote a song and then I would put it out or demo it, and then I would go back and listen to something that they had done, they would make me go back to the drawing board because I felt like I had to step my penmanship up when it came to those type of dudes as artists.
I mentioned Premier, and you Premier executive produced Which Way Is West, and I think in hip hop and people in the hip hop community and just fans in general, when we hear you and Premier on a track together, we want more of it. So, is there talk, or do you think you will eventually go back to maybe a full length album with Premier, or are there more tracks in the world?
We're talking about working on Which Way Is West Part 2. Primo hell of a busy. You know what I'm saying? A lot of motherfuckers don't know that, but Primo hell of a busy. But Primo is my family. You get me? I've been knowing Primo for a long time. We both got started together in our careers. Him with Gangstar, me with CMW. I've been following Primo since Manifest. You get me? So it's been a long time. And around that time, when they first broke, we as Compton's Most Wanted first broke. So we used to see each other a lot on the road, shows, promo tours. Me and Primo was able to build that relationship from day one. I could fly in New York. He would pick me up from the airport, take me to his crib. We would hang. He introduced me to a lot of young artists before they came up. People like Nas, people like Buster, people like Tretch, So I got a lot of respect for Primo and for the fact that he still is a humble dude. You get me? For the fact that he still is able to fuck with dudes like me on that level. Like I'm saying, Primo's a big nigga. People might not think so, but he's right next to motherfuckers like Dre when you compare to me. He's that dude. So for him to take his time out and fuck with little old Eiht and contribute and executive produce and mix and scratch on records, that's a big deal. That's what Primo will always be number one. You feel me? As far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, Eiht, I appreciate your time, and I can't let you go without asking you about Mount Westmore, Stoop, Too Short, Ice Cube, and E40. They formed this quote unquote rap supergroup. What do you think the overall picture of rap supergroups? How do you think this helps or hurts hip hop artists in general? But what do you also think about Mount Westmore? How do you think that's going to continue to help elevate Cali hip hop, especially?
First of all, if it's a good project, then it's sustainable. It just shows that the unification that we're trying to bring together as far as West Coast artists. Super groups, it all depends. I mean, they can help, they can hurt. It all depends on who you got in the group and if the music is quality and the lyrics are good. Like I said, you just can't put motherfuckers together and because they got names, you feel like whatever. The project got to be significant. So it's a gift and a curse because, like I said, we can put super groups together and it could be the best thing for hip hop. It sustains us as hip hop, and for the new school, it just shows the unity of us as old school artists or historians to hip hop. But then if the project ain't good, because you just don't want to kick in because motherfuckers got the name and the project is boo boo, so you have to back it up. So I feel it's a little more pressure on super groups because everything you do should be untouchable. Everything should be because everybody knows the pattern and make a good record. So if you can contribute all that, then it should be good. But if you get lazy and thinking you can just sell records just because of your name, then it's a wasted project.
That's my last question for you. I do appreciate your time. You have over 30 years doing this. What has kind of been the one consistent thing that's been your favorite part of what you do?
The fans. fans still appreciate what I do. They still accept what I do. They encourage me to keep putting out music uh, and to keep trying to further whatever this hip hop thing is, especially for coming from where I come from. We've had a lot of passing of some of our historians of hip hop. So just to still be able to round and give the contribution and the fans still accept it, that's what it is. That's what keeps me going.
He's a legendary MC Eiht. It's always an honor to have you on. Thank you so much to be on allhiphop.com.
Thanks for having me, man. Good looking.
Cool. Thanks, man. MC, thank you so much for doing this, Eiht.
All right, stay up.
You too, man.